Hello and welcome to part 2 of Boss Rush 2, Day 2, Heyawake. So I already covered the rules in the first part, which was Gemini. However, the second part is a single large puzzle with a nested variation. So what nested means here is that, spoilers for the first part by the way, the solutions, and in fact the grids from the first part with their solutions, will have to go into these 4 spots in this large puzzle to eventually arrive at a solution. Uh, I have an edit link here so that I can draw them in. I have the solutions of the relevant grids available for me right here, and all off to the side. So without further ado, let's just dig right in. Okay, so what am I seeing in this? It's almost like it's worth trying to place my puzzle solutions in immediately, or at the very least try to see where they cannot go. I'm on shading, yes. So let's start with the top grid, I think. Or no, this 5 gives me this deduction. It doesn't quite go any farther, but it's still useful, I think. Do any of my grids give me shaded cells out the edge? Yes. The first grid gives me a shaded cell here and here. Oh, wait a moment. All right. So, um, mhm. I didn't think far enough ahead to give me a way to label these. Um, so we're just going to add this little red mark to show that it does not go up to that corner. Yeah, I think that'll do. Next grid on the list. Does it give me anything? So putting in the relevant sections. Um, well, it gives that as a pattern. That doesn't look problematic, especially with a pattern like this existing. Let's just see how it carries into the top for a moment. Forces that one to be shaded, and that one. So does the 9 still work with this, with essentially the second pattern going into B? I don't see why it wouldn't. Just because this pattern exists and is very simple and very powerful. Okay. So that's a possibility, a highly forcing one at that. Alright, well, C is immediately out. Alright, last one. Let's see about this pattern, the shaded cells. I think, yeah, that blocks a 3. Therefore, I can insert the second grid into this location. Now, it is a little hard to see. Case in point. Let's use another rectangle. Alright, and add in the solution. So I did kind of figure the break-in was going to be with the variant because it doesn't the variant doesn't affect it too much. All right, and that looks like the solution and pattern. I'm going to leave these unnumbered just so I can see it easier. So let's see what deductions that gives before trying to place any of the other ones. I think that makes sense to do. So remember, this was the 3, 2. This 9 looks weak at this point. Oh, wait. Oh, no. Oh, no. Wait, no, this is 9. So this is 4 and this is 5. Okay, for a brief moment, I thought I was going to have to put 5 shaded cells in this block. And thankfully, I don't have to do that because it's not possible to. Okay, let's look at this 9. At most 4, at most 3. This is still at most 4. Nice, so my intuitive resolution to that section was actually the only resolution to that section. Okay, this 6 is interesting. It's not quite giving me progress though. That's because this could still contain 2. Okay, let's look at this 9. This is at most 5. At most 1, at most 2, at most 10 overall. So it's not quite giving me deductions just yet. Alright, I guess let's look at the bottom. This one looks like the most important one to look at for the simple reason that it interacts with this 4. Let's start with the first one. It also interacts with this 10, but I'll look at that second. Um, yeah, that looks fine. I get that as a forced shaded cell, but it's not causing any breaks. Alright, let's look at C and see if that helps. So C does this. It also forces a shaded cell here, which immediately does resolutions in the 4. Wait, no, this is still working. Force that one shaded, which is again still working. And then this one out the bottom, which is again still working. So I think this one just works well enough that it's not something I can make a deduction about. I really wish over here didn't work, but what can you really do? I will take a little bit longer to look at the interactions on this 9. No. And this 9, I guess. Okay, well, it was nice knowing that attempt. Oh wait, if I look at this 1, here's something really interesting about it. Um, if I look at actually, I should just mark that this is the one I've used. So I don't have to look at it anymore. So if I look at this, if I look at C and D here, specifically with the 1, you'll notice that one of them has this pattern, and which would force this one to be shaded and breaks. So it's not D. And then the other one, C, has this kind of pattern with this line here, which would force this shaded, which forces this shaded, and again doesn't work. So that means it must be A. So I'm going to undo that move so that I can edit this in. Uh, Whoops, that line should be here, so this one lines up. Big 4x4, and then these 2 lines. And that looks like all of the regions. Let's now add the cells to it. Again, leaving this empty. All right, now let's mark it. And again, create the markings around the outside for where follow-up deductions exist. That means this is now 2, this is now 3. This is 4, this is 5. A common pattern with 5 in 3x4 is if you have one corner unshaded, you can immediately place all of these cells up here. This may only be an implied 5 and 3x4, but the deductions still stand. Similarly, this 10 breaks down into 2 5 and 3x4s. And I'm not sure how much more I can do over here yet. Oh wait, I can do this. Because I couldn't put 4 in the bottom. Okay. Do I have the ability to resolve between my last 2 yet? No. But I can look at some commonalities between them. Maybe see if that helps. After all, I do only have 2 left. Maybe there's an interaction with right here. Yeah, there's a commonality. All right, we got it placed. This one goes to the bottom, this one goes to the top right, and this one goes to the bottom right. So that is it for the variant portion of the puzzle. Once I plop all of this information in, it's just a regular large Heyawake. So I'm just looking back and forth to put this in. Yep. And that spot because I remember working with that spot. I'm just going to copy the information in real quick. Make sure I do it right. And last one. So placing these grids wasn't actually that difficult, all things considered. Just a matter of looking at the right things and making deductions based on that. Okay, it's a 2x4, a 1x4, and then a 2x3. I no longer need edit mode. Oops, this is actually this pattern. A little bit different than what I originally put. And 1, 2, 3, 4. And that looks like everything. So I'm not worried too much about the fact that I just drew out. So let's go make deductions from that and solve the rest of the puzzle. And make much better time on the giant than the smaller ones, I hope. Oh, I really hope I make better time. I'm not expecting finishing this to be easy. Alright, is that all of the protruding information? I think it is. So let's just make some deductions. That's nice. That's almost a really strong deduction. It's just not quite. There's one too many cells for that to be a deduction. That one now resolves. This cluster is not grounded, so that's not going to be what resolves over here. This is now at most 4, which means this one's 5. Hmm. No matter what, one of these lines will be empty, which means one of these will be filled, which means this must be empty. Looking at this 8, oh man, this block, this 3x4 block cannot contain 5, which means it's a 4, which means I can do this. Oh wow, that is also really nice. Cannot shade there. That makes these implied 2s. Um, so at this point, there's really just 3 disparate sections to work out. Looking at this block, I can claim that neither of those can legally be shaded, which is going to ripple a bunch. I also know that one of these must be shaded. Heyawake is always interesting just because low clue density is so different than high clue density. None of those can be shaded without forcing these to both be shaded. Gives me that cell. I can pretty much just pick off the corners whenever I want. Yeah, connectivity is not going to be what drives this part. Yeah, I'm just going to look at this top section. I think it's a little more likely to help. Okay, here's a thought. If these two are both not used, then I actually just get this pattern. And it breaks. Therefore, both of these are used. That one becomes shaded. And we need to make sure that the unshaded cells can escape. It has to go that way. Now. Alright, top section is done. That was all driven by unshaded cell connectivity, which I can say safely spreads throughout. Let's do back here before going back to that bottom right. So the bottom right seems a little harder to work with. This cell must be shaded. For if it would be unshaded, the 4 would just not work. Let's see. This is the 4. This one does not have to be shaded for this to have 4 like so. Note that it also works with the bottom part. Wait. No, it doesn't. That breaks this upper section. This block cannot contain 5, so this one's shaded. It's enough to give a little feedback. If I shade here, it's broken. I need to fit 3 here, so we can do that. This is now an implied 2. Note that it's not an implied 3, just due to that. In fact, I think this cell can no longer be shaded. No, that is still kind of working. Dang. It's proving a little more challenging than I expected to work this part out. Okay, we're going to do a quick trial here on this cell, because it is very forcing. Alright, that is very revelatory. What that reveals is that these two cells being shaded together cuts off this 4, no matter what, which forces these to all resolve. Um, and that one must be shaded for, I need one of these, this one, and one of these, which does turn it into a 3. Okay, just need this one last little section. That's necessary to connect in. This is now an actual 3. And this one must be used. These two cannot both be used. That's that section. Last corner. Hmm. I'm actually not sure how to get started here. I mean, I can rule that cell out for the simple reason that if I shade it, without loss of generality, it's one of these two patterns, which then breaks the 6. I believe this one does it too. Yeah, because this upper one now has to be the 3. Ah, yes, that was the way in. Cannot take both of those two. Again, that's similar kind of thinking. Oh no. Oh no. Wait, why is this one shaded? No, that's why that one's shaded. That would then force this pattern, and that breaks. Oh no, where did I go wrong? Let's just double check this section. I do have it copied correctly. Oh no. Oh wait, I understand where I went wrong now. Let's actually just undo. So, my initial deduction was right here. What I missed was this possibility, which was still very much alive. So I'm going to take that as an unintended bifurcation and just solve from there, because I did gain information from that. And there's no point pretending I didn't. So my mistake on ruling this out by picking only one side. I had only disproven this 3. So this is going to get forced by 3-rim rule, which is actually some pretty strong meta logic available. So the only way this 3 would be specified is if I were to shade, is if this cell is forced to be shaded by this one being unshaded, which means I'm going to be shading this cell right here, unavoidably. So I'm not sure exactly how that would get forced, but that's just a kind of uniqueness meta logic that can sometimes be useful when you're trying to solve for speed. However, I am not currently trying to solve for speed other than using that kind of thing to guide my thinking about what kinds of things am I trying to look for right now. In any case, this part's resolving the same way that it did before. This is now an implied 2. In fact, this cell cannot be shaded without creating this impossible broken pattern. That one's not the shaded one. It would break right here. Now we need a way to connect out. And connecting out from here is actually a little trickier than it might seem. Because we can't connect through this channel, which means it has to go through here. And that means, for example, if I shade right here, the only way out is if this cell is also not shaded, which as you can see, breaks. So that gets me this far. Connectivity says all of the following. More connectivity. And check complete. All right, so for this one, I am going to, let's just actually go with the script. I am going to count and put in the submissions because I'm curious. For the first ones, I didn't because it would just unlock this and I had the link from the Puzzlers Club Discord. So row 7 goes 2, 3, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2, 4, 4, 2, 1, 1. I don't know what that text is, actually. Maybe I shouldn't. Oh, well, whatever. Row 14 is then the one that starts with the 9, which goes 3, 2, 3, 2, or no, sorry, 3, 2, 3, 5. And then it goes off screen to the 10, 1, 3, 2, 2, 1, 6. 1, 3, 2, 2, 1, 6. And then row 21, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is the one that starts with the 5? No, it's the one that starts right above the 5, which goes 1, 2, 2, 4, 2, 1, 4, 2, 2, 1, 3, 1. All right, so I'm going to put this puzzle back. So this was a really good puzzle. Like, it was a very satisfying large Heyawake. It flowed very smoothly throughout. The variant stops coming into play halfway through, but it's just working out how this part applied. Just seeing that my intuition on how this 9 might resolve ended up being correct. Just from trying the section out was quite interesting. Just seeing the commonalities between these last two blocks as well and how that resolved was, again, also quite cool. Overall, what I have to say about the first day's puzzles, or the first part of the puzzles for the day, they definitely got harder as it went along. So just have to wait another 10 seconds to find out if I put in the codes correctly or not. And if I did, that'll be that. Which I'm going to assume hmm, real quick, just gonna put Google Translate in. What does that even mean? Okay. I'm just gonna assume that was correct, and that's what that means. Oh, there's a second form. It was correct. So yeah, that was really enjoyable. And that was day 2. I'll hopefully be back soon with day 3, which is a series of loop puzzles. Until next time.